Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. Another video here with the STI, and I'm going to be installing coilovers today to do a bit of a suspension upgrade. And not that I have any issues with the RCE Yellow springs. In fact, I've really liked the springs so far, but I am looking for a bit more adjustability, and I would like to lower the fronts just a little bit more as well. And this brand new line from RCE, the Superstreet ones, allow me to do just that. So I'm gonna be starting with the rears because those are a lot harder than the ones in the front, or just more time consuming, I guess, for several reasons. For one, I have the Verus diffuser, and I don't even know if I'm gonna have enough clearance to work on the bolts and, you know, remove the rear shocks. So let's see how that goes. But also these require me to switch the OEM top mounts from this factory setup onto the new RCE coilovers. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of work out of the car as well. And of course, as you saw, I had to remove the whole liner and everything, so this just take a little bit longer than the front. So let's get to it. So we'll start by removing some of these nuts here. Of course, the ones that holds the shock in place and attaches to the lower control arm, as well as the nut for the sway bar link. And I may have to remove the one all the way in the end in order to move the lower control arm enough to, you know, wiggle the shock assembly out of there. And just as I suspected, I ended up having to remove 1, 2, and 3, all the bolts that attach to the lower control arm, except for the one here, of course. And this will allow me to, you know, bring this down so I can remove everything easier. And I didn't have to remove the diffuser, as you can see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to put this back together, but at least to remove the bolt I had enough space to put my impact gun and a wrench on the other side. Alright, so here we have the factory build stains with the RCE Yellows, and on this side the brand new Superstreet ones. And I'm gonna be transferring the OEM top mounts from this one to this one. So I gotta remove it here first. And to remove this top mount, we gotta remove the top nut here, and you need some sort of pass-through socket and an Allen wrench, otherwise the shaft is just gonna spin. So you need something to hold it together while you turn the nut. You can buy this kit at Harbor Freight for about 20 bucks, the open socket, and it works perfectly fine. Now for the top mounts, here it is. And there are 2 top nuts that come included with the coilovers that we're going to be putting in, and we're going to do one at a time. Now I can't use my open socket or pass-through socket to torque this down because, first of all, it won't fit my torque wrench. In order to do this, RCE recommends that you use a strap wrench that basically allows you to grip the shaft without damaging the surface. That's very important. If you damage and scratch this surface with a pair of pliers or something like that, it'll break the seals as it is used, and it'll pretty much damage the coilover. So something like this will allow you to hold that shaft in place without damaging the surface, while you can then torque the top nut down with a deep socket and your torque wrench. So I finally managed to torque down both top nuts to 15 foot-pounds, and what I had to do in the end was, first I had to push down the collar all the way down so that I had enough space in between the, I guess, top here and the top mount in order to even fit the strap wrench. That was the first issue. And once I managed to get the strap wrench in there, I noticed that it doesn't really work that well for things that are thin like this. So I couldn't get the right grip or the torque that I needed. In the end, I ended up using the rubber piece of it so that I protect the shaft, and then I use my channel lock pliers around the rubber piece like so. And that right there gives you a pretty good grip without damaging the shaft. Once I had it like that, I was able to use my torque wrench. So here's the first rear coilover assembled and ready to be installed on the car. The rest is gonna be the same, just in reverse. So let's get this sway bar link installed. So now that we have everything mounted, we're just gonna torque everything down to spec, and we're done with this side. So the first one is now installed and everything looks good. Of course, we'll be doing some adjustments later on, but for now everything's done on this side. I'm gonna be doing the other side off camera, and I'll be back for the front install. So I'm done with the rears, and it is time to move over to the fronts, and this should be a lot easier, I hope. We really just need to take these bolts off, holding the strut assembly. There's two of them here, 19 millimeters. We also have to detach this ABS sensor, as well as the brake line that attaches down here, and that'll free up the assembly for me to then remove these three nuts here, and then we can just pull the whole piece out. So there's one bolt here that you do want to pay attention to, which is the top one here. This is a camber bolt, and as you can see here, I've marked it before when I took this apart to install the yellow springs, because you want to maintain alignment as much as you can before you take it to a shop. So just pay attention to how the camber bolt is sitting, and try and, you know, obviously with new coilovers there's no marking, but try and just put it back as close as you have it here, and pay attention to how it is. There's marks here that you can use as reference. And we just got to remove these three here. And now we should be able to remove this completely. And hold the strut. You just want to be careful you don't mess up any of the lines here. So here we have the new one, and we gotta rotate it this way. And see how it lines up with the top. That's exactly how it goes. And the trick here is to use your floor jack and help the control arm here. So we now see all the bolts coming through as I push through with my floor jack, and we can just secure the coil here. And here we have the front coilover installed. I'm going to be doing the other side now, off camera of course, and then I'll be back to see how everything looks before we start the adjustments. Alright, so we have the coilovers installed, both fronts and rears. I just dropped the front and I was barely able to remove my floor jack. I had about a finger and a half of wheel gap here prior to the install, and now I have nothing. The tire is essentially already touching, well, about to touch the fender, so I'm gonna have to adjust this and raise it up a little bit. So I spent some time adjusting the right height to where I wanted it, and now it's just a matter of letting the suspension settle and driving it to see how it feels. I'm also going to be adjusting the rebound on the coilovers. I have about 20 clicks of range, both fronts and rears, to see where I want it and where I like it the most. So that'll do it for this video. Please watch out for another video on a full suspension review once I've had a chance to get everything dialed into my liking, get the car professionally aligned, and some seat time of course. Until then, please leave your comments below and consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. See you next time.